cash.
Right.
Because I'm sure if he goes to IKEA and complain, they're gonna say, yeah, we're just what we're supposed to do, and there's nothing we can do, and that would drop there. So.
Well, I'm still curious. He was supposed to send me over his paperwork. So I can
Hi, welcome to Inside the Moms Club, where being a mom is the coolest place to be. Here in the Moms Club, we believe that what embarrasses you now will make a great story later. And let's face it, if you don't laugh sometimes, you're gonna cry. Join us in having a good laugh together. I'm Monica Samuels. You are now a member of Inside the Moms Club, your private destination for all things mom. Welcome, moms out there. We're so glad you could join us today. I'm Monica Samuels, and I'm here with my co-host, Jennifer Marsh.
Thanks
Hello,
for having
Jennifer.
Me. Good to be here.
It is. This is an exciting week inside the Moms Club because this week on Monday we were featured in the Austin American-Statesman in a great article. I was really impressed with.
I got to actually be someone to my children.
They were impressed, huh?
Yes.
So now you feel you're not going to get the big head now that like walking around town and like, hey, I was in the newspaper. Did you see me? I mean, I know I will, but you're not going to. And I know the other moms, So it was very exciting. I was thrilled that they did that. That was so nice of them. And so hopefully more moms will now join us across the country. And
share their stories and support
and have fun.
All of our moms who are going through this journey, crazy times in our world, but also just always something to laugh at.
Right.
Especially right now.
And we cover everything from birth to, you're the great grandmother or what, you're a mom
hopefully
forever.
A successful launch of, yes.
We hope so. Yes, we do. Well, and speaking of birth, we are very excited today to have as our guest Sofia Gonzalez, who is an actor and writer, and she's appeared as the recurring character Allie on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. She's also been on Showtime's Kidding. And the exciting news of her life is on May 6, 2020, she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. And of course, it was during COVID, so she was appropriately wearing her mask, and I'm sure was socially distanced from your doctors. I don't know how they handle that now. Welcome, Sofia. We're so glad that you could join us today.
Thank you, Monica and Jennifer. I'm so excited to be here.
So you're a new mom. So tell us, so it's been, May, you're a few months, the baby, how old is the baby now exactly?
Almost 9 months.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's
Oh, wow. I was telling Jennifer yesterday when my son was 9 months old. So I had it down the first few months. I had worked it out where I had this big blanket and I would sit him right in the middle, and then I would run and do something, and then I'd run back and he was still there. But at 9 months, there was a day when I ran out and I ran back, and he wasn't on the blanket, but his head was wedged under a piece of furniture because he started crawling.
Yeah,
so
they do.
Just so you know that you're ready for that. But yeah, it's fun. It's going to get more and more fun. You're going to love it.
And I'm so impressed that you must have gotten pregnant before COVID, and then it happened, and that I can't imagine. It's already first child, hard enough to move into motherhood, assuming everything goes beautifully, and to have the mayhem of COVID, during this whole thing where they're shutting down elective surgeries, and it's kind of every day you don't know what it's going to be like at the hospital in terms of transmission. And thankfully by May they had it figured out. I'd love to hear your story.
Well, yeah, thank you so much, guys. And yes, Monica, my baby is on the move and trying to put everything in her mouth, and we're freaking out all the time. We're like, how did she get that? But yes, absolutely. It was really, I keep saying that I was sold a thing on Pinterest and Instagram about motherhood, but I was going to look amazing all the time, and my baby was going to be this quiet. Oh, thank you so much. But
You
that
have
my
the
baby's
motherhood glow. You're
Yeah,
making it
yeah.
look like you're calm and collected.
That's because my husband gave me time to get my to do my hair and makeup. But thank you. But yeah, I thought it was going to be this whole other experience, and other moms have told me the same, that you're going to have this quiet creature of a baby, and your hair and your skin is going to glow, and you're just going to be one with nature, and that was completely dismantled, and probably would have been that way without COVID. But then on top of it, having to show up to my last few appointments alone, not knowing if David could come be with me. My husband's name is David. Um, in the room while I gave birth, because they were starting to say husbands couldn't be in the room with you. So it was just a really scary time, because I was, looking forward to a certain experience, and then it all just started unraveling and falling apart. And then you just kind of have to go, okay, I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be Mama Bear. Let's do this. Let's go. Unfortunately, by then they were like, a week before, hey, your husband can be with you. Wear a mask at all times. I did have to labor with a mask on, which was crazy. But 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 then also I feel like that's kind of my warrior story. I'm like, oh yeah, you got to give labor. I had to do it with a mask on. So
taxi, but let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. But anyway, did you say you gave birth? Did you
No,
labor
I
in a
didn't.
taxi?
No, no, no.
Actually,
But I will tell you, when I gave birth to my second child, I don't know what they do now, but they had this room that was like a hotel room. I mean, it was really beautiful room. And they had the TV going on in the background. And so he was born at midnight when, I don't know who had the show on. I don't know, but we weren't watching. I was kind of busy, so I wasn't. And all of a sudden, the theme of MASH, that show from the 80s?
Yes, of course I do.
Played while he was born. So the first thing he heard was, the choppers and the sound of this
interesting
theme song to MASH.
They say how you enter the world sort of flavors your personality.
Well, that explains a lot. So I will, over these many years. But, and so when we were having our kids, you'd read all the baby books and get on sites and read things. The one thing they never covered was sleep deprivation. I am an attorney by trade, and I had to go around with no sleep trying to practice law, which is real challenging. What have you found? I mean, have you noticed, or what are the things you weren't expecting that now you discovered, hey, nobody told me that I wasn't going to sleep for a couple of years?
Yeah, it's a big one. I feel like mothers tried to warn me, but I think because I was pregnant, they were like, we don't want to scare her. But I miss sleep so much, and luckily I catch naps here and there. But I was a big sleeper. I was a sleep inner on the weekends. Like I treasure my sleep so much. So this is very different. I feel very tortured by my lack of sleep. But yeah, and especially with acting now, so I can't do anything with Amelia during the day because she has my full attention. My husband works, and so I have to watch her. And then when she finally goes down for the night, is when I can start memorizing my lines, putting it on tape, and everything. So it is when you're exhausted, having to push through that exhaustion, down some coffee or cold brew, hydrate, get in the game. And it is not fair, but it is the way it is.
And I would imagine it's harder on you right now than most, because I remember when I gave birth to my first child, especially when you're just a fish out of water and I had an older sister, thank God. I had a mom who flew in. My mother-in-law was there. I had my posse, and they were there for me. They were like, you're not looking so good. Go to bed. We got it. And, with COVID, you probably don't have that posse of ladies to help.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I try to explain that to my husband. He's like, you know what, this is even better because, with COVID, you get to be here. You don't have to drive all over town and audition. And I'm like, no. It would have been better if there was no COVID. Because I would have had my mother, my sister, his sister, my sister-in-law, my friends, somebody to come by and help me clean the house, somebody to come by and just watch her, a babysitter. I would have thrown money at the problem because that's how desperate I am for sleep and for assistance. And with this, we just can't because she's a baby and we don't want to get sick. And thankfully we've done a couple times, and we're doing it right now actually, where we quarantine and we see my mother. And that is having an angel on earth. Like I literally buy every like lunch or grocery. I'm like, here, mom, please. And she's like, I don't need it. I love to. She's my grandchild. But I'm like, I just need you to know how grateful I am.
You never love your mother more than when you have your first child, because they are there for you like no one else in the world. It's amazing.
And I also apologized to her for what a brat I was as a teenager. I was like, how dare I? You did so much work. And I was like, I want to be with my friends. Like, oh man, I would have been so much meaner to me if I was her, but she was lovely the whole time.
Well, I know there was just recently there's a sign in Austin by this taco shack called El Arroyo. It's a Mexican place, and they're getting sort of famous, but they have this billboard out front, and there's all these quotes, and one of them is, dear Naps, sorry I was such a jerk to you when I was younger. Because all you want to do is nap, and you can't get your child to go down, and you're like, if they only knew.
If they only knew how delicious it is, how precious it is. I know. I try to tell Amelia, I'm like, please do this so I can do this, please. But yeah, it has been a wild experience. Although I will say I love it more than anything. I mean, there was a part of me. I love my job. I'm obsessed with my job. I've been such a career ambitious person. But there have been times where I'm like, oh, I could just do this all the time. This is lovely. And but I've had to say, okay, I have to be both because I put so much into my career. I can't just walk away. But it's tempting because she's so adorable and.
Yeah. I think we all have those moments. I mean, I think there isn't one. I mean, Monica wrote a whole book about it.
I wrote a book about that.
And it's hard because you're always feel like you have a split personality, but you are both people really. So you have to kind of feed both sides of that, of your persona and, kind of do it. I mean, I applaud you doing it all and pushing through and cold brewing it all the way through the night.
And it is challenging too, because you go through the stages of, like when now she's cute and adorable and she's doing cute things and taking pictures and then they get to middle school and then you probably need to be there.
Oh, I think it comes well before middle school.
Well, okay, you're right. There will come a time when it's like, oh, that's not so cute, but I need to be there. And then you go through that whole thing. So
can you say more about that? Because before I had a child, I would hear people give me this advice and I would kind of brush off like, oh, that's their experience, not mine. And then I've learned that it was absolutely the truth. Everything they said was going to happen.
Well, I can tell you one of the things that I always find really funny is that my mother-in-law, like most mother-in-laws, think that her son was like the sun and the moon. He was perfect. And she loved to tell me how he never threw temper tantrums. And I was laughing. I was like, that is just not possible. First of all, it's developmentally incorrect.
Because now he does now. So what happened?
He's actually a very calm, collected, amazing person. But it's funny though, because I was going through their album and I was like, there are actually pictures of him when he was 2 throwing temper tantrums. You can't tell me he did not ever throw a temper tantrum, because our firstborn she's a strong-willed child and very confident young lady. And she's been that way since she came out of the womb. And that's what's so interesting. And I'm sure people have told you this, but their little personalities now, like they really are that way for kind of forever. I mean, it grows in different ways, but if they're kind of feisty now, I mean, they're going to be feisty forever. So that's kind of fun to see how it plays out, hopefully in a good way. But my daughter had an issue with car seats, so the terrible 2 situation was not great.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other issue. But so do you have the baby that is just quiet and sweet and goes to sleep, or do you have the baby that you have to ride around in the car to get her to go to sleep, or you put her on the dryer, which I know is something people used to do? Yes. I mean, is she pretty easy? Because people say my baby's really easy, and then I have other people that they.
Amelia is amazing. She's so charming. She's funny. She's silly. In terms of putting her to bed, it just depends on the night. Sometimes she's like the easiest. I'm like, oh, that was wonderful. Like she's an angel. And other times I'm like, why are you fighting this? Why are you fighting me? She's beating me. Like what's happening?
Who's in charge here?
Yeah, that's always fun too. Yeah, when they don't want to be picked up and held, like my youngest son, he would literally butt me, he would rear back and butt me in the head. So it was challenging.
And what's funny is that like having one child doesn't necessarily prepare you for the next one, because you think that the first one, well, I've done that, but then the next one is totally different. Like my son was completely different than my daughter. Chill, loved to sleep, He could sit in his car. I literally could pull him out of his car seat, hold him upside down, throw him in his crib, and he wouldn't wake up. Where the opposite was her. I used to have to carry the car seat out very carefully, like up a hill into her crib so she wouldn't fall asleep.
Yeah, I think I'm only having one, guys.
You say that now, and then they're 3, and they're so cute.
Well, see, and this is what else happens. My nieces are going through this right now. Your daughter will see her friend or whatever. Oh, they have a sister. Now I want a sister. And then you're getting a lot of pressure from a 3-year-old to have another baby.
Yes.
And in my niece's case, they succumb to that. So they're expecting now again.
We'll see. I mean, I was like, wow, I've always wanted to be a mother, and I love it and I adore it. But I'm like, man, this is kicking my butt. I feel like I really we'll see. We'll see if I get a second win.
We're in the Moms Club,
You are.
So we're here for you.
Yeah.
And there's moms to tap into for energy and advice, because you need each other to make it through. And especially once your kids start to be in preschool, then you can really, after drop off, you can all go get some coffee and just gather.
That sounds like a dream.
That's why the Moms Club exists.
You'll be
Because
here soon.
we support each other. So
Yes.
we're here for you.
Thank you.
We've got you. Well, and there's more moms who are here to support you. And those are our Zoomer moms that we are inviting in today to join us in the Moms Club. So Zoomer moms, welcome Zoomer moms. We're so excited to have you. Thanks. I'm going to go around and introduce each of the moms to Sofia. We have Sofia Gonzalez on today, and she is a new mom of a 9-month-old. So she needs your support, help, and advice. That's what we're here to offer her. Well, let me start by introducing Heidi Marquez Smith, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the Texas Cultural Trust Mission, which works to spotlight the artistic excellence of our state, of the state. She's the mom to 3 sons, a 14-year-old, an almost 12-year-old, which I thought it was interesting that you put it that way, because you only say you're almost an age when you're going to be 12.
Right.
You're not almost. You know,
Exactly.
anyway, and a 7-year-old. And then we also have Helen Savage, who is looking for a next chapter in her life. She's looking to start a new job. She's the mother of an only child. She has a daughter, which Sophia is considering just having one. So Helen, you can offer some good advice there. And Laura Spence, who is the owner of the Rosewood Gulf Coast Chop House in Austin, Texas. And she has 3 kids, a son and 2 daughters. So welcome to all our moms. And like I said, Sophia is excited to hear some advice, some encouragement. She's doing really well. I mean, this woman,
You're very kind.
She gave birth wearing a mask because it's COVID.
During COVID.
So, yeah, she was in labor with a mask on. So I bet none of you can beat that labor story.
No.
All your kids. I can't. Although my baby was born like 10 weeks early, so I went through that drama, but I still didn't do that. So let's we're going to kind of change things around. Sophia, do you have any questions? Like what advice do you want from these very experienced moms? Can you think of something that burning question that you just haven't asked anybody yet that you think that our Zoomer moms could help you with?
Yes, I would love to know a pro and a con for the amount of children that you have. So something that you love about it and something that you wish you could. Hi, Amelia. She just woke up from a nap. And she looks crazy. She's gonna say hello real quick.
Oh, she's adorable.
So cute.
How cute.
Thank you so much. She's got bedhead right now.
Oh, yeah.
My love, can you take her because I'm still doing this. Thank you, baby. So yeah, just a pro and a con for the number of children you have, and what you love about it, what you wish you could change.
Okay, that's a good question. So Laura, can you start us by answering Sophia's question? Do you have one, or are you happy you have 3?
And so, am I frozen?
You're back.
Okay. I said I grew up in a big family, and so I knew that I wanted that experience for my own children. I think I mentioned to y'all right before we started that my oldest likes to be by himself, and I feel like if he had been an only child, he may not be as flexible as he is now, or as understanding and compassionate, because he's really had to step outside of his own personality comfort zone, to be understanding to the siblings' needs, and like know when to back out and know when to come in. And then the other two don't know any different, but they've all, as parents, we are so happy that they have each other. And I think that they appreciate it 60% of the time. But I think it makes them better humans to have to work together and negotiate and all that kind of stuff.
Well, Helen, you have an only child and a new puppy. So what are your thoughts?
Well, so my intention was to always have a big family, but that's not the hand I was dealt. And so I'll give it from two different perspectives. I have a younger brother who's almost 4 years younger than me, and we are not close. I'm closer to my girlfriends and, my cousins. They are my, strength and support, family. And, he lives 3,000 miles away too. So it's just not a particularly close relationship. And we fought like cats and dogs growing up. So I'll just start from that. So I totally agree with Heidi that you must have them close together, because it seems to me from observation over years and now with my daughter and friends, and that the children that are closer together typically get along and stay close. Now, again, there's no guarantee of anything, but what I will say is we have gotten to be very close friends with another family who has a daughter and an only child. And so we spend a lot of time with them. We, she's a very active girl. She plays soccer and just is involved in a lot of different things. And we actually got her back in school full time. We moved her to private school. And so, which has been a godsend, because online school was a disaster. And I don't know how people are surviving it with 1, 3, or 5 kids. But,
Right.
But I mean, all of our attention is on her. And so the one thing I will also say, as someone who is very close to her father, and my brother is very close to my mother, there's that dynamic that you get as well when there's more than one child, especially when there's 2. So there's pros and cons to everything. I'm just trying to make sure she doesn't grow up to be, self-centered and have that only child syndrome. And she's got a ton of friends and cousins and family. And so we focus a lot on our big picture family, and call a lot of her friends family as opposed to friends and family, so, but it's, knock on wood, works out most of the time.
I love that family.
Heidi, so you have 3 sons, like I have 2 sons. So people always ask me, did you ever want a daughter? And I think that would have been fun. So, I mean, that might've been the thing I would say. So what are your thoughts?
Well, much like Laura, I came from a big family. I'm the oldest of 6, and there is a large, there's several years between my youngest and me. And all that to say that I did not grow up with them in the house. So that was a little different. I didn't go through their high school. I didn't go through those things, the issues they went through. But now today, we are inseparable. We are so close. Even though the years are between us, we're close. From the youngest to the oldest, we're super close. And as far as 3 versus 1, I have a dear best friend who is an only child who lives here in Texas. And we knew them before we went to DC and coming back. And she is one of the kindest, loving, most in touch with empathy of other people. So I think it's possible to have an only child who is not self-centered. As much as me coming from, a low income family and so on, I want to give my kids everything, but I also wanted to recognize hard work, and not give them everything, that they have to earn it too. And so I think that's the thing, as parents, we do want to make our children happy. We want them to have everything they need. So I think what's really important is balancing that, making sure they have the chores, making sure they feel like they're accomplishing something. And also, Helen, like you said, get them really active in activities and sports and engaged with friends. The only thing that I do love is that with the 2 that are only 2.5 to 3 years apart, it's like a built-in babysitter, if you will. So that's my dog who's sneaking in. It's not a ghost. It's my dog.
What was that?
And she's a girl, and she's my girl. That's my girl.
Okay. My dog.
But it's like a built-in playmate, so you don't have to organize the playdate. So that is a benefit of having more than one, for sure. Even if they fight, it's still taking away the attention from you, when you need to do your thing. Yeah. So that's, I think definitely either way, one child or many, it's a blessing all around. Yeah, it's awesome.
That is true. You can always say, hey, go see what your brother's doing. What's your brother doing? That's an easy way to get them off to do that. Well, the other thing we were talking to Sofia about is just, now she's got 9 months under her belt here with her child, but we were talking about the different periods in their lives, what you have to look forward to. So what do you think was the most challenging time so far with your kids? Was it infancy? Was it when they were toddlers? Was it middle school? Any thoughts she has to look forward to now? Well, so Helen, why don't you share? So Olivia's what, in
9.5? She's in 4th grade. And so COVID separate, I just, I've been focused in on a number of calls or, Zoom calls or webinars or whatever you want to call them, focused on like all the different issues the kids are having these days. And so ours is when Heidi was talking about, you want your kids to be happy. Well, their job is to make themselves happy. We have to give them the tools to make themselves happy, but we're not supposed to make them happy. And that was one thing that this psychiatrist that was on a call recently focused on, is that you have to give them the tools. My mom always said, my job is to make you not need me. And so, her mantra was, I'm not going to support you, your spouse, or your vehicle. She had very definite things. And this woman said also, your children need to get out there and get a job. They need to understand the value of money. Olivia says to me, oh, Mom, just put it on your credit card. Oh, I want, 10 more minutes for, or $10 more for whatever. She's got a Nintendo Switch now, which I'm sure.
Oh, God, they love those things.
But again, she's going to school 2 more hours a day than she was in public school. She loves it. She's thriving. And so I have to say, all in all, things are pretty good, except for when it's just all about her. So my biggest challenge is trying to make sure that she realizes, and she's a sweet, wonderful, loving girl, but it's just a lot of, as my pediatrician talked about, the sass period.
Yes.
Very sassy.
Yeah, I refer to that period as like my daughter, she sort of went into cocoon and they get kind of very inwardly focused.
Speaking of which,
and then they sort of come out in sort of high school as like a beautiful butterfly. They're much more open and looking around and engaging with other people. But yeah, it's so cute. Nice to see you. But no, I was going to say that I really felt like when they getting through reading and some of those big milestones were hard.
Yeah.
And I mean, Laura, you can speak to this because we both have kids with some learning differences, and that was like challenging on the mom. Like I really felt like it was my job to make sure this child is going to be able to read a 300-page book, and it is not going to be a problem. Because if you don't read, everything else in school, you can't move forward.
Yeah, that's true. So Sofia, now describe, how have you handled your balancing your work with the baby? You described that a little bit, and then do you have any questions for these moms about advice about that?
I do. So right now, so thank God, before I had a baby, I was able to make really great strides in my career. I'm now respected by a lot of the people in my field as, hardworking, disciplined, reliable, and I was really proud of getting there. And now and I'm also like, I know it sounds like so hippy dippy, but I'm a Virgo. I'm very type A. Like I get it done. And now with the baby, like it's just impossible. Like I'm not as on time. I'm not as with it. And like, I'm scared. I don't want to lose my career. I don't want to lose the respect of people. I don't want them to be like, oh, I don't know. She became a mom. So she's just like, I don't know. We'll go with her because she's free and doesn't have any responsibility. I don't know. I guess I'm scared. And I want to know if you guys dealt with that and how you got over it, or if is it all going to be okay?
And a quick question in there. Is your husband, does he help you out? I mean, where does is he good about balance?
I mean, he's watching her right now. He he wants me to thrive and he wants me to succeed. But he works full time for the James Corden show, for Late Late Show. And, so he's the main, for like main breadwinner, like all those 1950s terms, but there it is, and like, I just feel sometimes like I can't push too hard on him because, does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, so Heidi, you have any advice?
I do. I can tell you, for each kind of phase that I had my children, I felt the same guilt. When I had my first child, I was working in the White House.
Wow.
And there was a lot of pressure with these two women that are on the call. And there was a lot of pressure to perform. And honestly, I put my job first because I was young and I wanted to prove myself and I wanted to build that reputation. And I didn't want people to think that just because I had a child, I couldn't function. And believe me, there are people out there that think that. And some of them are on the opposite gender than us, and so I felt like I had to work extra hard. I was back at work within 6 weeks, which is not right. Not right at all. And it's the pressure we put on ourselves to go back and perform. And I don't think anybody would have replaced me, but in my mind, I had to get back. How could I be here? So what I would like to, if I had, hindsight is 2020 and I've grown a lot since then, and that was, 14 years ago, I would have taken the time because that only happens once. Give yourself grace, Sophia. And that's what I tell a lot of my friends and you parents. Give yourself grace because this time is fleeting and things can be taken from you at any moment. You don't know if today's the last day, but you don't get this time back with your children, and COVID, so many silver linings. I love that I am here. I'm working from home and that they can run in and interrupt my Zoom call. And if someone really has an issue with it, I'm so sorry, but that's what we are right now. But I've learned that, you got to put things in perspective. Your job will be there. And those people that know it didn't change your reputation. It didn't change your work ethic. It didn't change your judgment. Yes, we get mom blame and so on, but give yourself grace. You can get back to it. What's important is keeping your network up. Be in contact, write notes, do things like this. I think those things, being involved still in your capacity, but prioritizing yourself and your family first, I think is important. And I've learned that and I've gotten a lot better. And I always tell my oldest, you're teaching me how to be a mom every single day. You and we're the first ones at this. You're the oldest and, you're my first child. So you're teaching me how to be a mom to Harrison and to Liam. And so just to say all of that, I think just give yourself grace. You'll get back there and just, keep in contact with everybody. Don't feel that you have to perform like you were right before you had a baby. This, like I said, this goes by so fast. And you asked earlier, what are the hardest times? I think it's always the time you're in. It seems like the hardest time until you get through it and you're like, that wasn't as bad. This is worse. So, just enjoy every moment because you do have that opportunity.
That is great advice. And the fact that Heidi has come to that over her experience is interesting because I once substituted in for Heidi as executive director at the Texas Book Festival. And really, I literally sat in her chair because she still worked. I was like I didn't have to do anything because she was on maternity leave, but she really wasn't on maternity leave. So that's outstanding. That is great advice, Heidi. I think that's awesome. Well, thank you, moms, for
so much.
Great advice and sharing it with Sophia. And thank you, Sophia, for sharing your experience with us. And you can find Sophia on television, of course, or an Instagram page at Sophia Land, and you've got to check it out. She has created the funniest videos. I thoroughly enjoy watching them, so I highly recommend that. So thank you, Zoomer moms. Thank you so much, Sophia. We loved having you here today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you all so much for your wisdom. I really appreciate it, and you guys made me feel a lot better. So
well, and
we
want to have you to see how the 18-month mark goes.
Great, please do.
Experience. Well, again, thank you, and we want to thank our sponsor, Blitz Concessions, which Blitz Concessions is the solution for all your volunteer parent organizations who are trying to raise money for concessions, drive-through, dinners, and swag sales. And they do it in this COVID touch-free environment. They have an app that's awesome. So you want to try it out by getting a demo. Go on to www.blitzconcessions.com and get your demo. And you can check us out on our article on the Austin American Statesman. If you want to Google us, we're there. Or on our website, InsideMomsClub.com. And we're also on Instagram at InsideMomsClub.com. Thanks again. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you, Jennifer, for co-hosting today. It's
happy
been
to help.
great.
Happy to be here. So fun.
And we will be back next time with more celebrities and extraordinary moms just like you. We know that your me time is special and precious and valuable. And thank you so much for sharing it with us. Remember to keep laughing. Here at the Moms Club, we believe that if you don't laugh sometimes, you're going to cry. Bye for now. We'll see you next time on Inside the Mom.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.